Maps I think are weird. USA and Australia fit together almost perfectly. That is weird. Let me enhance. Look at the way it curves around Florida and the Carolinas and then all the way up to New York. The word soda takes over. So in 1947, you had a few areas of the US saying soda, but mainly it was pop and a lot of Coke. In 2023, soda's now the biggest of the three. In the UK, we don't say soda, we would say pop, I suppose. But for me anyway, it's not part of my common dialogue. I would just say specifically the thing I wanted, like a Coke or a Tangle. I feel almost lame saying that I would like a glass of pop, please. It makes me feel like I'm a 3-year-old. Taylor Swift's airplane travel history in 2023. She's just zipping about all over the place, back and forth. Oh my goodness. Sometimes for just really, really short trips as well. That's ridiculous, Taylor. There needs to be rules against this. Like, I understand if you're like a mega famous celebrity, it can be... look at that one! My goodness! We're nowhere near even denting it. Hang on, let's skip ahead a bit. There are some lines. Yeah, I understand being a massive celebrity and it can be like frustrating if you've got lots of people looking at you, whatever, but you kind of gotta just get on with it and wear a hat if it's a short journey at the very least. Like, that is just ridiculous. My god. It's just so terrible for the environment. You can't allow this. Peak of largest empires in history. So this is the Mongol Empire and the British Empire. Mongol Empire managed to take over a huge quantity of the same region, but British Empire managed to just spread themselves around different spots. Both definitely caused a lot of harm and had a lot of negatives. I finished my Germany project and illustrated all the German federal states. Oh, it's so cute. What a fantastic art style. So it's the outline of the country, but we've got tons of references to Germany based on different areas. Ah, and they're all the specific shapes of the regions and represent something to do with each region, presumably. That's really, really clever. I like that. It looks incredible. Oh, look at that. Popular local beer brands of Europe. Okay, so obviously Ireland is Guinness. That makes sense. UK, John Smith's. I don't really know anyone other than me dad that drinks John Smith's. Heineken is from Netherlands. I honestly would have thought Heineken was German. Beck's is apparently German, which I really didn't think. I potentially would have even said that Beck's was English. But shows how wrong I am. Then we have quite a few that I have not heard of. Peroni, that would be my go-to beer, I think. That is from Italy. And Mythos, Greece. Only time I've ever had Mythos was when we got a free one with a Greek takeaway once. I like the look of Romania's Ursos. That looks badass. Evolution of high-speed railway lines in China. So in 2008, there really wasn't much at all. But in 2020, they have really kicked things up a notch. That is impressive. Is Egypt ruled by Egyptians? This is a really interesting type of graph. I've never seen this before. But we've got a timeline that incorporates the outline shape of the country. And we can see for about half of its history, Egypt was ruled by the Egyptians, with a blip during the Hyksos period, which I know nothing about. And then from basically 1000 BC, it has been controlled by many different people, such as the Romans, the British, the Ottomans. And then since 1952, it is back to the Republic of Egypt. And 1952 onwards represents this tiny little bit of green down there. That really puts this timeline into perspective. Population of Ireland 1841 versus modern date. This is really interesting. So you can see in most areas, the population's actually gone down a lot. You know, 855,000 down here compared to 500,000 now. However, area around Dublin has obviously skyrocketed. So 1.35 million people living in this city. What's the word for that? Is it urban sprawl? No, they're literally the opposite of urban sprawl. I mean, this is just explained by kind of jobs changing since the Victorian times. Farmers, blacksmiths, all that sort of stuff. You just need to live in your local area. Whereas now most jobs, they're in the big cities. Countries that have become independent from the United Kingdom. Oh my god, that's hideous, isn't it? There's just so many. So many. And it's so sad, particularly just how recent so many of these dates are. Like, a lot happened in the 60s. We've got 1978 there. We've got a lot of Oceania areas that are kind of 70s, 80s even. Requirements for entry into Japan. Alright, this is an enhance. So the dark green is visa-free as long as you don't stay too long. Light green's visa-free for 3 months. Saudi Arabia and South Africa can apply for an electronic visa with 90 days notice, so a bit trickier. But most of the world is grey, which is visa required and strict visa regime. If he's going can only be issued by the Japanese embassy in exchange for documentation proving intent to return to the country of nationality. So they're really keeping their borders strict. And then there's one dark grey. They're literally not allowed into the country. Where is that? Ah, it's North Korea. Okay, that makes sense. Support for gay marriage in the United States. So we're starting as late as 1975 and still very, very little support. Let's see how quickly this takes over. And it seems to be coming from the West as well. Oh, hang on. By 1985, we've had a big revolution, which is nice. Numbers still very low. Actually, hang on. The percentage needs to get to like 100. I was thinking it was getting to 10. It is still incredibly low in that case. And we're in the 90s. This is just terrible, isn't it? Well, this is really sad. This is my lifetime now. And we have no numbers that are higher than 36 out of 100. I mean, it's easy to understand why this is. Like, I really like the sitcom Friends, but there are many jokes within that show that are just homophobic and at the expense of gay people. And that's just so wrong. And that was not that long ago. That show finished in 2004. I'm curious what it's going to get to by today. Oh, we actually have our first bit of green. Okay, it's 2005 now, 2010, but that's still only half of these areas, half the people in those areas anyway. 2010, 2015, it keeps going up, but as you can see, I think we're going to find that the USA still has a long way to go. And what are we ending on? The South still very old-fashioned there, ridiculous. The stink bug invasion. Oh my god. Okay, so they started in 2005 and they are spreading east quick. Oh, and they've already made it to the west coast too. Presumably made it onto some flights across or something. Oh my god, that's a scary looking map. Climate of Australia compared to the world. So most of the outback is the same temperature as the Sahara Desert, which is crazy. Hence why basically no one lives there and it's just a barren landscape. Apparently Tasmania has a similar climate to Alaska, which I did not realize it would be that cold. Then this little tiny area like around Canberra, that's Finland? A lot of this east coast is the same as England. I think Sydney's around this area. I don't know how accurate this is. I was in Sydney during the winter and it was still much warmer than the UK. I don't know if I believe this. I suppose it's got to be time of year dependent for each country and Australia. Luxembourg, Ireland and Switzerland are Europe's richest countries per capita. Wow, so Ireland now double the UK in terms of capita. And what is Luxembourg? Luxembourg 131,000. So which countries are lowest? We've got Ukraine down to just 6,000. That's a huge difference. Belarus 8,000, Russia 14,000. Big differences between the West and the East. The world according to Google Street View, May 2024. We've seen many of these maps over the years, but obviously this is literally this month. So this is the most up to date, and a lot of the world is now visible. Still lots of Africa that we cannot see. Europe basically entirely visible now, excluding Belarus it looks like. Do we have more coverage over Germany? I thought they got rid of a lot of the coverage. Yeah, it will be very interesting to see if they ever manage to get more of Africa visible. What a task that is though. That is crazy when you think about how big that place is. The Swiss plan announced by Libya's mad dictator Gaddafi at the UN. Wait, he wanted to get rid of Switzerland? In 2009, he submitted a proposal to the UN to abolish Switzerland and divide it up along linguistic lines, giving parts of the country to Germany, France, and Italy. Why? What has Switzerland done to Libya? Brazil overlaid onto Europe. Okay, it's flipped upside down, but wow. Look at the size of Brazil. Just this tiny area is the same size of Spain and Portugal. And this includes most of the Mediterranean Sea as well. So it looks like Brazil is basically the exact same size as Europe. How many years an area has been ruled by the Roman Empire? So it's highest in areas like Greece and Italy, obviously, 1,500 years there. Apparently they ruled England and Wales for 350 years, Northern England 300 years, and less than 50 years for some of Scotland. They never managed to take over all of it. We have a crazy length of time in these Northern African areas, like modern day Egypt, 750 years, which we did see reference to in that previous graph. Yeah, this is really interesting. They really had the Mediterranean on lockdown for a while. Wow, UK and Ireland from space. We have an actual real photograph. I've never seen it from that far away before. It is amazing to be able to actually see the outlines so perfect. That is a great distance. It was not very cloudy that day, was it? It's kind of yellow looking, isn't it? I thought it would be greener. Okay, it was taken during one of the hottest heat waves on record in England. So yeah, the grass had all just kind of burnt and yellowed. TikTok censorship. So a lot of the country has no censorship, but you can see that UK, France, Canada have banned TikTok on government phones. So you work at the government, you have a work phone, you can't have TikTok downloaded. Some areas have banned it completely, but not enforced it, which I don't really understand. China have a full ban, but I thought TikTok was owned by China. That confuses me. India have also banned it as well. I did not know that. And the US obviously has a ban that's pending. It'll be interesting to see if that goes through. Countries with a smaller population than Java. This is mental, by the way. So Java is this small island in Indonesia, but 145 million people live there, which I think is more than every individual country in Europe, a bunch of Africa, and so many others, excluding basically the top 7 most populated countries. That's crazy. Countries with the most bald men in the world. Okay, so I guess this shows you're more likely to be bald if you're white, which I did not realize was a trait. Apparently the United Kingdom is at 40%. I am sort of slowly losing my hairline a bit, but not too bad at the moment. But it's so common, it's such a thing for men to be self-conscious about. I kind of feel like we need to stop being mean about it, to be honest. Most people, once they shave their head, they get a little mustache. They look pretty cool, in my opinion. Most valuable Italian brands. Right, there's lots of recognizable names here. Ferrari, Lamborghini, we've got Diesel, we've got Giorgio Armani, Alfa Romeo, Martini. They all sound so Italian as well. What have I not heard of? Carpisa. What do? They make handbags, I think. Yes, they do. Cool. Nearly 50 countries now generate more than 50% of their electricity from renewable energy sources. That is amazing to see. It's also pretty cool to see how many of those are in Africa, because normally Africa's left out of all of the positive maps. I wonder if it's solar power, you know, just with Africa being very sunny. See, I feel like UK could easily be on this list, and it is a shame that we are not at the moment. Which countries has the most vegetarians in Europe? So apparently there's only 10 vegetarians in the United Kingdom. I'm one of them. What is this, a percentage? Oh, it does say percent up the top, to be fair. Okay, so yeah, 1 in 10 people in the UK, 12% in Sweden, Finland. That's the highest. Still very low in places like Spain, but I think it'll just keep increasing. There are a lot of vegetarian options now where you can just have stuff that tastes like meat without killing anything. Where deserts can be found around the world. Quite an interesting way of looking at it. Obviously, Sahara Desert takes up all of this, but you can see that geologically, I presume there wasn't always this big gap. So the Sahara effectively does kind of just continue into Saudi Arabia, Oman, etc. I also didn't realize how off-center the outback was. I always kind of thought it was perfectly in the middle with a border around it, but you can see it goes quite a bit to the left and all the way to the coast. How many people have never used the internet? So we have no data for the UK, but we have a bit of orange for Ireland, which is 5 to 7% of the population. So very, very little now. Over 10% is what's interesting though, because that's quite a lot. And we can see Portugal's one of those countries, which is surprising. I'm curious why that is, if anyone knows in the comments. Animation of the tsunami generated by the 9.5 magnitude earthquake that occurred in southern Chile 1960. Oh my god, that's such a scary animation. It has gone so far as well. Like, that is traveling so far across the Pacific there. It's about to reach New Zealand. Like, you've got to actually try and quantify how far this distance is. Oh my god. So it's also going to impact Australia. All of these tiny oceanic countries. That must have caused chaos for those. We've hit Hawaii there, gone right through it, and it's making its way all the way over to Asia without a problem. That is mental, isn't it? Think of the disruption caused to humans and animals here. Whoa. Wild World, a world map of nature with 1,642 animals. Took me 3 years to draw. Whoa. It would be criminal if I did not enhance this. Oh, the quality's so good when you get close. Okay, so we're in North America, Canada specifically at the minute. Oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We could stare at this for hours. So obviously we've got a lot of bears and eagles and bison. Is that a bison over in this area? Oh my god, I love this. This is the best thing I've ever seen. What fantastic drawings. We've got Greenland, so we've got some polar bears, seals, puffins over in Iceland. Oh my god, you must have had to do so much research. We've got a little badger in the United Kingdom. We've got some swans. We've got a moose. Is that a moose? No, it's probably a deer, isn't it? Let's get back in the sea. I like seeing all of the fish swimming about. Oh, this is just incredible, isn't it? This is so cool. Look at Australia. Look at the little Tasmanian devil. Look at all the parrots and the koalas, the parakeets and the cassowaries are. Oh man, look at the little kiwi down in New Zealand. Fair play to the person that drew this. We've got penguins down in the South Pole. So many different types of penguins too. We've got a little spider. What's he doing down there, cheeky little fella? Look at the cute little penguin family as well. Okay, we're in South America now, and oh, we've got a toucan. I like toucans. So many cool animals down in South America. Let me get to Costa Rica. I'm hyped about that. Oh yeah, we got some little tree frogs. What these things? I can't remember what they're called. We got flamingos. Oh, we got alligators in Florida, and look at all the massive whales in the Atlantic. Ah. That is insane, isn't it? Anton Thomas. That is incredible. That is possibly the greatest thing I've ever seen in this series. And on that note, we're going to end off this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please do subscribe to JackSucksAtGeography if you've made it this far, because the channel's grown kind of slow at the minute, and I would love to get to 2 million at some point. That would be fantastic. Alright, thanks a lot. I'll see you later. Goodbye.